In this episode, we're talking about a game where the princess is in another castle. But we're not talking about any mustachioed plumbers. This is Tiny Pixels Volume 2, Stormy Knights. This and more on Indie Game Arcade. Welcome to Indie Game Arcade, a podcast that deep dives into the latest and greatest indie games. My name is Chris.
I'm Joseph.
Joseph, I'm stuck here shirtless in my booth again because it's really hot and stuffy. So I just wanted you to know, just visually, that, you know, my big hairy form is just in this hot booth, just dripping in sweat. Just so
Are you
know.
able to like crack the door open or something? I feel like you're like suffocating yourself for no reason.
No, it's more fun. Like, because then I can be like, oh, the sacrifices I have made for pristine audio, you know?
Yeah, well.
So don't forget about that visual as we talk about this game,
Of course.
which is Tiny Pixels Volume 2, I almost said Stormy Knights.
Game start!
So, Tiny Pixels Volume 2, Stormy Knights, not Stormy, released on July 9th of this year, 2025. Developed and published by East Asia Soft Limited. Retails for only $4.99. So what's your excuse? You need to buy it. Look how cheap it is. This is a side-scrolling action RPG where you play as a zealously valiant knight. This is their words. Traversing a loop of medieval-inspired castles ranging from European fortresses to mystical Persia and feudal Japan to rescue a different princess in every run. So it's kind of like, so it's got some roguelike elements to it then, I'm guessing.
Only in the sense that there is meta progression to it. You don't get any sort of unlocks as you go through.
Sure. So this was a game that you had talked about a little bit a couple episodes ago that you were thinking about picking it up. It's like that one where the first game of Tiny Pixels was a completely different game than this one. It's just still under that Tiny Pixels sort of brand. It almost feels like they're kind of doing like a UFO 50 with this Tiny Pixels kind of thing, except not releasing it as one package. But you had like Volume 1 was like a space game, if I remember right. And then now Volume 2 is this action RPG, the side-scrolling action RPG. So what was the game like? Did you say you 100%ed it? Yeah,
I basically did. There's only like a couple more things I would need to do, and I don't know how to do one of them. And so I'm not going to try because there's no reason for me to. I don't care that much about it, but because it's like do 100+ damage in one hit, and I don't even know how you would do that in this game. Maybe like a counterattack or something, because like I can only power up so much. Like I have all of the like meta progression done. The way that it works, as you're walking through this you're walking at a very slow pace, by the way. Like you're walking through this like side scrolling thing, but it's like a room to room deal. It's not like you keep going. Like you start in a room, you fight an enemy, you beat that enemy, and then it teleports you to the next room. And then you fight that enemy, it teleports you to the next room. So it's all just like a face-to-face thing. You can't like jump over the enemy and get behind them or anything. It's all just like you're on the left, they're on the right, and you use your limited set of abilities to try to defeat them. You have a dodge, which just like lets you back up, essentially, like pushes you back a couple spaces. You can duck, which helps you like avoid a lot of ranged attacks. You have at least not initially, but you can very quickly unlock a magic spell, like a lightning spell that has one charge to it initially. And as you upgrade that specific tree, you can get some more charges to it. Like it can start doing different things, like stun the enemy or give them some sort of weakness that makes them take more damage from all other attacks, things like that. So, and then you have your sword. So there are 5 abilities. There's the dodge, there's the duck, there's the lightning, there's your basic attack, which is just you swinging your sword. And then there's your block with your shield. And so as you're going through, like you start feeling, you feel like super weak when you first start because you have none of those upgrades and you're doing like a minimal amount of damage. Your blocks are not like doing any damage return. You can't deflect range attacks. You can just block them. So it feels very, very slow to start with. So you're going to, just like with any kind of roguelike experience, you're going to die pretty quick because you just are not equipped to handle like anything yet.
Yeah.
And you don't understand the mechanics at first. So you're just kind of going in, trying to figure out what everything means. And that was how it started, where even like the first area, like the goblins that were there were just like kicking my butt like hard, because it's like, how do I do this? Like everything is moving at a very like meticulous pace, which is fine. But it's like, I couldn't understand like what I was supposed to even be doing, because everything felt like it was taking like way too long to kill. And I didn't know initially that it was going to be just a single room kind of experience, like one by one. So you go to either 3 or 4 rooms and you fight the boss of the area, like the Goblin King. And then the next area you fight some kind of like, some other like evil sea princess or something like that. And then you fight, and then, so there's 4 areas total. I thought this was going to be like an ongoing thing, or like sort of an endless mode is what my impression was initially. But after that 4th area, like you literally are done, and then it takes you back. And if you don't already have all the upgrades, that's when you can still upgrade and stuff. Or when you die, like you're collecting these coins as you go through. The way that they do the coin collection is interesting, because it's like you defeat the enemy in the room, and then it sends you on almost like a little, like you go into sort of like a lightning form kind of thing, like you're being pulled by a teleportation, and that starts flying like pretty quickly to the right to go to the next room. But as you're going, you can see these coins hanging down from the ceiling at varying heights, and you're sort of moving your little entity as it goes to try to grab those coins as you're going through. So you're not getting the coins from killing the enemy. You're getting the coin, you're collecting them as you like fly to the next room, but it's like a forced movement thing. So you have to be pretty quick about it, especially after a boss, because there's so many coins there, but it makes you move very, very fast after the bosses. So you have to be like really on it to get all the coins as you're going through. And that was kind of an interesting like way to approach getting the currency that you need to then do the upgrades after the fact. And once you die, or usually once you die, you will go back to the start screen. Then there's a section that says like upgrades. You go to that. There's 3 different trees. There's your like physical attack tree. There's your shield tree. And then there's your magic tree. And so you're pulling different things off of each of those. They all do something different. Like the melee stuff usually revolves around like either adding to your melee combo up to 4 different hits at once, and then adding to the damage that you're doing with each melee attack. Your shield is to usually deflect attacks back, or deflect like ranged attacks back at you, and or make your dodges more effective. And then the magic tree just makes your magic stronger and gives you more charges of that. So it's like as you're picking these things up, like the initial enemies become very trivial to you, because like the goblins at a certain point were just beneath me, even though they were like kicking my ass at first. After a while, they just became a joke to me, which is, you know, how you're supposed to feel like as you get that power gain as you're going through these things. Right. But I like that about it. I think overall, I like this game as the small experience it is, especially for like $3.99 or $4.99. I think it's on sale right now for $3.99. Yeah. But I also see like how this could really benefit from being part of a larger thing. So I'm hoping like once they do finish however many of these tiny pixel things are going to do, that they do just bring them all into like a single collected game. Because I think it would function much better as that, as like a part of a whole instead of its own thing. But even then, like the asking price is like so small that I did enjoy my time with it. I think it looks like I spent a total of about 99 minutes on it. So just over an hour and a half. And I'm just like done with it. Like there's nothing else I can do even if I wanted to, really.
So one thing that I think I don't understand about the game, and maybe I missed something. So like when like I'm on the Steam page and stuff like that, it talks about like seeing how long you can survive an infinite game loop. But I think you had said like it doesn't really function as like an endless mode, but it kind of seems like that's what they're advertising it as. Like, so what was your experience as that?
Which is strange because, once you finish the fourth area, you're done. Like you beat the, the final boss, and then it just teleports you, or not teleports you. You just go back to the main menu, and it's like, are you going to upgrade anything else? What are you going to do? And like I said, I got like all the achievements that were, hidden and everything, which is just like defeating those specific bosses. So it's like, there's nothing else I can really do. And I've gotten all the upgrades, so I can't make myself stronger or anything else. So I didn't try to play again after I beat the final boss and had everything.
Okay.
So maybe if they did an endless mode, maybe it's now. Maybe it's like once you beat the last boss, then you can do an endless mode kind of deal. I don't know if that's the case, but maybe I'll try it again to just to see if that was, because as it stands right now, what I played of it, there was no sense of an endless mode to me or an option that said endless or anything on it. And as far as the princesses go, like, after you beat each of the bosses in the area, you do like break open this cage and rescue this princess. What I thought was cool, and I only did it once, and I don't know what triggered it or if it is just random, is like one time I rescued this vampire princess, and she gave me the ability to like get health back as I hit enemies. And it only happened that one run, and it wasn't a permanent thing, and I never saw her again. So I don't know like what I did to trigger that, or if it is just like a RNG thing. But I thought that was neat that they at least added some cool sort of like flavor stuff in there, or just some cool things. It's like, like every run is not exactly the same, even though they do start to feel kind of samey as you go through the areas.
So when you said there's like 4 areas, right? So does that mean you ran into like 4 princesses, or was there more?
I don't remember if there was a princess after the last boss, but there was at least 3 princesses, maybe 4 if there was one after the last boss, which I don't remember if there was.
Interesting. Well, it looks cool. Like I would love to see more from them too. Like we were talking about, of like if they did go like a UFO 50 kind of route with these small games. I like the art style of this too. It reminds me of like sort of a mix between early PC games and also kind of like basic sort of like maybe early Super Nintendo as well, where like you've got like the pixel dither for everything. But the character designs and sprites remind me more PC than you would look at something like a Nintendo product or design or something. So, but it's a real cool look. There's so much detail in the backgrounds of this game, which is really neat. So yeah, I'm liking it. It's definitely one that I would like to play as well. So I'll probably fire this up on the Steam Deck and see how it goes.
I think it's worth your time for sure, and worth your money. Like it's a good like short form experience if that's what you're looking for. I think you'll have fun with this. But I just am setting the understanding, setting the precedence that it's like it's not a very long game. So if you think you're going to get like an endless thing out of it, I don't know that that's going to be the case. Unless, like I said, now that I've beaten the last boss, I go through again and it does get that way. But nothing has expressed that to me that that's what it's going to be.
Power up!
Hey, if you're enjoying this episode so far, do us a favor and throw us a like, a follow, share the episode or the podcast with folks who love indie games so we can get more of these game recommendations out there and support indie game devs. We also have a YouTube channel at youtube.com/nerdsloth where you can catch us playing more indie games, or check out our top 5 and top 10 series for even more indie game recommendations, because we believe there's an indie game out there for everyone.
Combo!
I've got 2 other games I've been playing this week, so let's talk about the other games that we have been diving into. One of them I am so excited to mention is Last Report, which came out on the 11th, developed by Monopixel. This is one of the best horror games I've played in a while. I don't play horror games like all the time, but I love a good horror game. And like it has to be really good and really captivating for me to want to get into it. And this is definitely it. So in this game, you are a night shift park ranger in this national park. I think it's called Green Trees National Park. And what you do is you review cameras and you're submitting like violation reports. But weird stuff starts happening in a very scary supernatural way. So you'll be having to rely on surveillance, contacting other rangers via radio, and snooping through reports to uncover the dark history of the park, and specifically like also the cabin that you are stationed in while you try not to go insane or die. So It's got awesome pixel art, like big chunky pixel graphics and stuff, which I really love. And it's legitimately scary. There's a lot of jump scares, just as an FYI for those that are sensitive to those. Short game, I think it's going to be less than 2 hours for the full game, but also small price point of like $4.99. In a nutshell, it has like a lot of gameplay similar to like Papers, Please, in that you are doing, sort of like a tactile sort of task, but then with that added horror element to it in like almost somewhat of a Five Nights at Freddy's sort of way mixed in to a degree. So, man, I really, really enjoyed it. There's a vid of our mascot Seymour playing this, the demo up on our YouTube to go check that out. And like, I gotta buy the full version and play it all the way through because I had so much fun with it, even though it did make me want to piss my pants a few times. So yeah, I really, really liked it. I can't like sing enough praises of it. So definitely check it out if you're a horror fan.
That's really strange. I mean, I am a horror fan, but horror games just aren't usually my thing because they just don't have the same impact for me. And seeing it like a pixel version like this, like I guess I'm trying to understand like where the fear part would come in. Like, is it just like unsettling? Like, what is it about the game?
I mean, it all has to do with immersion, right? Like you start getting immersed in the atmosphere and the story of it and stuff like that. And it's, you're suspending disbelief a little bit. Like as you're playing it, this game specifically sets up a really, really good, I don't even know if I would say a slow burn. I'd say a medium burn. And that like when stuff starts going weird, it goes pretty weird pretty quick. But like you don't get like a jump scare like super fast or anything. Like it takes a little bit to get to that point. But it's like this the weird stuff you start getting exposed to and seeing, and then you start hearing about some of the stuff that's happened in the park or your cabin. And it's like all these things together, along with a lot of very atmospheric tension, and stuff starts happening outside of your cabin and you don't know what it is. It's kind of like there's a lot of knowing the monster's there, but you don't know what the monster is. You don't know where it is. You don't know what it's doing, but you know something's wrong. And then when something does happen and there is some kind of jump scare, it's like you've been so kind of like sucked in to the experience already that it really, really gets to you, at least me. So that is like, I think the best I can kind of like explain it. It's like, it really draws you in. It makes you really pay attention to everything and just really engrosses you in the details. And then it bites you. So it's fun.
All right. Maybe I will like try a game like this and just really like put some headphones on and try to lose myself in it. Cause nothing has hit me that way yet, but I'm not like against it happening. I wish it would. So maybe that's all what it will take is just to really just put myself in there.
And that's the way to do it too. Like definitely, lights out, headphones on kind of gameplay, just like you would want to do if you want to get scared watching a horror movie, set the mood for the horror movie. You're not going to like watch the horror movie with all the lights on and, outside in broad daylight or something, you want the lights down. You want it to be dark. Get it. Letting yourself get immersed in it if you want to be scared. So I mean, it's kind of the same thing.
Okay, cool.
The other game that I was playing was Muffle's Life Sentence, which actually came out in March on March 7th by Bossy Pino. This is an episodic game, so there's different parts. The episode 1 is free to play. Episode 2 is $3.19. Episode 3 just released on June 6th for $3.99. This is a dark comedy and kind of like a card-based deck builder RPG set in a surreal penal prison where the inmates are physically transformed to reflect what they did that earned them a spot in there. So you awaken as Muffles, who is kind of like a faceless prisoner with no memories, and your mouth is sewn shut and just your identity's been completely stolen. So you are doing like light exploration and some light puzzle solving and stuff when it comes to like the overworld of everything. And then when you get into combat, it comes down to card battles. And those card battles are not easy at all. So they're very, very difficult. which makes the game more interesting. You also have a face swapping mechanic, which is interesting, where like you can acquire new identities by swapping out your face for another. And each one has different abilities for the combat and puzzles. Like you'll get different cards depending on what face that you've put on. And you get some of those faces by like defeating like, you've got kind of like your, I don't want to say basic enemies, but there's some enemies you'll run into that just, obviously aren't like boss kind of enemies, but you'll get these main enemies, which are like guys that you've interacted with or something in the game and obviously stand out more from the other sprites. You defeat those, you can steal their face. And there's other faces you can get to by completing like in-game milestones and things, but you can swap those faces on the fly and that'll change things that you can do in the environment, change like your deck and things like that. It's very, very dark, kind of grotesque in quite a few ways, but really, really interesting and intriguing. And I absolutely love the artwork of this game. It is really cool and sort of reminds me slightly of Dead Finger Die when I was talking about that and just how it makes you kind of uneasy sometimes and how like, it's a very different pixel art style, but just some of the designs kind of remind me of that a little bit. But it was very interesting and I've been having a good time with it, even though the card battles are quite difficult for sure.
Yeah, the pixel art of this looks great. And I like the approach of, or I guess I'm interested in the approach and how like that's going to work for them as far as like chapter releases go or episode releases rather, because that's kind of like the same tactic that Deltarune, the Undertale follow-up, is using, where I don't know how many chapters that game is in now, but I think it's going to go up to like 7 or something. Right. Does this one have like more planned releases, or do you know if it ends at 3? I'm not sure.
I'm not totally sure off the top of my head.
It is kind of interesting that they did release like the first one or the first chapter is free, like that's to draw you in, and the other 2 chapters are like $3.99 a piece, which is still like a very low price, but it's cool that you get to at least try it out. So chapter 1 is almost like the demo of this game before you decide if you want to really like jump in for the rest of it.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a really interesting business model. And like you said, I'm very interested to see like how it goes. I remember when the game first came out, seeing a ton about it on social media. So it's definitely one that caught people's attention. So I'd be interested on following up again and kind of like checking out and seeing how the developer's doing with all of that and seeing how the model's working out.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to try that one out. Looks cool.
So what about yourself?
So one of the games that I'll talk about the one that I haven't played much of first, and then I'll talk about the one that I've played a little bit more of. So I grabbed one the other day called M.O.O.D.S. They came out on July 10th, and I had never heard about it, but it's an action roguelike top-down shooter bullet hell. So it's one of those where it's like, why haven't I heard about this? This seems right up my alley. So in this one, at least what I understand of it, I've only played for maybe like 30 minutes. So not even like enough time to really give it like a proper review. 36 minutes is what I played. But I can at least give a general idea of what the game is, where you are in seems like a post-apocalyptic world where only robots survived or are just the only like beings that are even there anymore. And you are in this junk heap, and you're being kind of constructed and pulled out of that, or I guess your essence is. So anytime you die in a roguelike fashion, you go back to the junk heap, and then your essence is put into a different robot or whatever, a different like body of a robot. So you're choosing the form that you have, like, and it's called M.O.O.D.S as like an acronym. It's like M.O.O.O and .O or .D.S. And that's like, I don't know what that actually stands for, but actual moods do play into it, where it's like certain robots are tied to different emotions. Like I think I chose one that was like, I don't remember if it was like anger. I don't think it was anger, but it was something like, it was very something that was a lot more like straightforward and rash in the way that its abilities worked. But then you could choose something like shy or whatever. And it's like that one was more focused on like staying back and healing and things like that. And I think it was interesting just the way that they had those developed around whatever type of emotion they were inhibiting. And I don't know if there's like more unlockable ones or what. There was at least like 6 or so initially, and having that much variety just to start with is pretty cool. But as the gameplay was progressing, it does play out in a roguelike fashion where you're getting these different upgrades for your weapons and such. And you're choosing between like 3 different ones in that same like, level up and get the 3 different things deal, or find a treasure chest and get 3 different things, whatever the case is. I think I defeated the first boss, but then the second boss got me pretty quick. The way that the like level selection works is like you're at this little circle and you're turning parts of it to decide like which kind of section you want to go to. Like, you'll see something that's like, okay, there's treasure in this one, so let me turn the switch to this. And it's all kind of lining up to like the center of a circle, which I guess would be the final level. So there's a lot of, again, I haven't played enough of it to really get a good judgment of it, but I've liked what I've played so far. I'm going to invest more time into it because I've enjoyed the gameplay. But yeah, that's M.O.O.D.S for anybody who's curious about that. I had never heard of it, so I was just one that I kind of picked up blindly and am liking so far.
I love the sound of that. Like I the idea of like the different moods being the different, robots and stuff like that is really appealing to me.
Yeah, and just kind of seeing how that all like plays together and what that actually means at the end of the run is interesting to me. So I don't know what the implications of this all are, but yeah, interesting setup for whatever the game ends up being.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then the second one that I've spent more time with was also a blind pickup that is a bullet hell, a top-down shooter. This one, much different energy to it. You are literally a surviving kind of like, I don't know, undead guy, just some skull dude who you're picking up different guns. It's got the whole bullet hell sort of thing where enemies are just like swarming you and you're just trying to survive with whatever you have on hand. You have a melee weapon and you have whatever guns you're able to pick up or craft along the way. There's like this currency you're getting as you're defeating enemies, and that's what you're going to be using to either upgrade some certain things, or the way that it's gated off is like there's a lot of different areas in the maps that you're in. And so it's like, okay, well, there's these logs here. I need 300 of my currency to unlock to like move those logs out of the way so I can get to this different area so I can start like closing off this thing. You have to kill enemies close to this like altar so that they will feed into the altar. And once you break 4 of the altars or the seals, then you can fight the boss of that area. And it's like there's a lot going on with it. I like the way that it plays, and I've enjoyed what I've played so far. I think like, I don't know if it's like going to be really like meta progression heavy in like just trying to help you keep up, because I got to the second boss after doing a lot of different things, but it didn't even seem like I could do any like damage to them. I was throwing everything I had at them with the weapons that I had, and I was just like barely chipping away. So unless there was just some kind of mechanic that I just didn't understand about that particular boss, which is these 3 bells that are kind of jumping around. One had a sword, and I don't remember what the other 2 had, but they were all doing slightly different things. And as I was shooting each of them, just like none of them were taking very much damage from any weapon that I had. So again, I don't know if that's because like there's just more meta progression that I had to do to like hit that point, which would be kind of disappointing for me because I don't like when you are just strictly locked behind that. Like it would have taken me, at the rate that I was going, it would have taken me like 30 minutes just to kill this boss had I not just died in the process, which I did. So it's like, all right, well, I don't like that if it's like there's something so specific that I have to do or unlock to even be able to even challenge this second boss, because that just means that like anything after that's going to be so hard that there's no chance of me even surviving at all until I unlock a ton of other stuff by just dying and repeating these processes.
Right. Yeah.
So it could have just been like, maybe there's something I was missing. Like that's always possible. But just from the way that it was laid out initially, I didn't understand why I wasn't really damaging these bosses. So maybe not a skill issue, but it could have been. So we'll see as I play more, because I am intrigued by it.
Yeah, maybe it's a get good issue.
That's possible. That's possible. But
no, it looks great though. Like I really love the sprite designs on this one, especially like the main guy is really cool. And I love the little demon-y kind of dudes, like these little red blobby guys with the big teeth. Those are fun.
And like there is at least one other playable character that I unlocked. I don't know if there's more than just the 2, but the one I unlocked was like a cat lord of some sort. And he just starts out with a big sword. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I don't remember what he was called. He was some kind of like epic entity or something. There's some like crazy name he had attached to him, but it's just a cat. And like every time he gets hit, he makes like a mew sound, like he's just meowing. And it's just goodness. Like, it's a funny visual, but he's really strong. He's great with melee stuff. And this guy's more of a ranged dude, but I guess you could really push either of them either way, depending on what you were unlocking or what kind of build you were trying to go for. So again, like I haven't spent a ton of time on this. Let me see, actually, because I feel like it's been like a couple hours at least. Yeah, 2 hours exactly. So I've spent 2 hours in it. I've gotten to the second boss, got completely destroyed by it because I just couldn't do enough damage. So TBD on how this goes moving forward. It just released in 1.0, so I don't know. Maybe that's why it just hadn't been really brought up in a lot of like things I'd been looking at for new games, just because like maybe it had been in early access for a while. But it just got released in 1.0 super recently, July 11th. So I wanted to give it a shot. Yeah,
it looks great. Like it's definitely one that the art alone appeals to me, and I would want to try it based on that. So a little worried that like even you couldn't get past that second boss. So I'm like, if you can't do it, there's no way I'm gonna get past it. Like, not at all.
You'll know if you are going to be able to like handle this game in some of the first areas, because waves of enemies keep coming as you defeat each wave, and they keep getting progressively harder. So you have to be like, okay, do I need to kind of rush to this boss by unlocking these 4 seals quickly? Or do I want to just like take on a bunch of waves of enemies to get a lot of resources to power up more? Because they are going to keep getting harder. So it's like, you kind of have to, there's a risk reward system to that it seems like maybe I just kind of went too fast to the second boss. So I needed to kind of build up more waves of enemies in the process. I don't know exactly. Try it out, see how you feel about it. You're either going to really like it or it's going to be too hard for you, I think. So TBD.
Maybe both. Maybe I'll like it, but it'll still be too hard for me to play.
Always possible.
Final round.
Let's talk about some upcoming indie games that we're excited about. I've just got one this episode, which is Hotel Galactic, which comes out on the 24th, going into early access, because again, everything is early access right now. But I may have mentioned this once before, but I don't remember. But this is like a kind of like a little bit of a management sim with, but it does have like a story kind of thing. So it kind of reminds me a little bit of like maybe Spiritfarer in a way, but like in a little bit more of like a Spirited Away, like Studio Ghibli kind of vibe. So, but basically what you're doing is you are taking over this like old hotel, like this rest stop kind of thing that is literally like a galactic rest stop. So like beings from like all kinds of places and like these different creatures and stuff will come and stop here to like rest and hang out at this like little touristy getaway. So you are not only like building and managing this place, but you're also kind of like working through like these stories and stuff with all the different characters and everything. And there is an overarching sort of story and stuff too. But it's really just like the look and feel of this game is what is drawing me in. Like when I say that it reminds me a lot of Spirited Away from like Studio Ghibli, like I really mean it. And it just looks absolutely charming. So I'm usually not a I don't know, like a base building resource management kind of dude. Like I'll do some resource management style games. This is usually not the kind that I'll get into though, but like this one really has me very interested. So I do definitely want to try it out.
Yeah, the one that I wanted to talk about was one that I don't usually get into, or a type that I don't usually get into either, but seems interesting. I don't know. Subject matter might pull me in. We'll see. This one is called The Necromancer's Tale, and it's not early access. Again, this one's coming out on July 17th, so depending on when you're hearing this, may already be out. It is an exploration, open world adventure kind of thing, supposedly like a story rich, quote unquote. But it is like you are just a regular dude kind of mastering rituals of raising the undead against your enemy. And that sounds interesting just by itself, but just the way that the world looks is interesting to me. It's almost like Baldur's Gate 3 visuals, like obviously not nearly as like in depth or probably like even gameplay wise as in depth, but I just mean like as far as movement goes, and the fact that it is open world makes me think that's going to be like you can kind of walk and go anywhere and kind of like either make allies, enemies, raise undead thing or raise the undead, whatever.
Yeah.
Through a lot of different like either combat or diplomacy or things like that. And I'm curious to see. So I guess my main draw to it is just like, I just want to know like what this is like, because I love the idea of it, but I don't know what the gameplay is really going to be or how it's going to function. I'm just going based off like some of the trailer stuff that I saw where you are just sort of walking around. And I say Baldur's Gate 3 because it is sort of that overhead, like 3D view, and combat seems to be like grid based, or at least like, it is turn-based tactics in that way. But then there's a lot more to it as far as like you talking to people and like forming allegiances and things like that. And there are a lot of stats to each of the characters that it looks like you can have quite a large party of people behind you. So this is one I'd never even heard of either. So I'm just curious, like what this game actually is. And I don't know. I might try it out. There is a demo of it actually, so I might try that demo out and just to see like what I'd be getting myself into, because I'm intrigued by the idea. Yeah,
same here. Like this wasn't on my radar at all, actually. I'm not sure why, but this is super intriguing. So yeah, I'm kind of hooked on this idea too. Like I think I might want to try this one out as well. Just looking at all the screenshots and everything of it, it looks really, really neat. It does look like there is quite a bit of like interaction, like talking to NPCs and stuff like that. So it looks like there's a lot of lore, a lot of story to go with it, which is definitely interesting to me. Plus you've got all of it looks like it's a hex grid based tactics sort of combat and everything. So
yeah, so a lot more mobility option.
Yeah, I like that. I like this a lot. So yeah, we'll probably, I have a sneaky feeling that we might be talking about this more next week. So yeah.
Unless they like really drop the ball with the story, the execution of the actual story, then this seems like something that would be really cool if you're into that kind of thing.
Game over.
If you had a good time listening to this episode, stick around for the bumper to learn how you can help support the show and all the things we do here at Sloth Creative. You can also check the show notes for our link tree, which will take you to our social media, Discord, subreddit, merch store, and all the other cool stuff. Get in touch with us, though, and let us know what indie games you're playing and help us elevate these games so we can help support the indie devs that are making them. But that's game over for us. My name's Chris.
I'm Joseph.
And we'll continue on the next episode.
Continue.
Indie Game Arcade is recorded and produced by Sloth Creative. If you're looking for more gaming content, head over to youtube.com/nerdsloth for indie game let's plays and recommendations. If you'd like to support the show, head over to patreon.com/nerdsloth, where you can select a pledge and receive access to hundreds of hours of bonus content from everything at Sloth Creative. If you're an indie game developer and would like us to review your game or explore other opportunities, send an email to nerdslothcreative@gmail.com with the subject line Indie Game Arcade. Thanks for listening, and keep supporting indie game devs.